All right, everyone, take a seat, settle in, get comfy, get cozy, get warm, I hope, from the gross weather outside. Thank you all for coming. I'm so happy that you found your location. So now you know. So if you're going to be here all summer, this is where all of our professional development will be. So find the best bus route, find the best route here, because it will start promptly. So I'm Anika Knight. I manage the recess and USIP programs. I'm really happy to see all of you here. We were selected of a very competitive cohort of students this year. So be happy with that. Yeah. Kelsey, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Kelsey Russo-Nixon. I manage the Launchpad program. I've been working for UNAPCO since 2016. So 2015 is when Launchpad started. So I've been lucky to be a part of many of the cohorts. So welcome. We'll get to know each other a lot better this summer.
Okay, so we are going to go around the room. You're all going to say your name and what program you are in. I would like for you to speak up and enunciate because we have people online and they would love to hear you. Okay, so we're going to start in this direction.
Okay. I'm Madison, and I'm in the Geo Launchpad.
I'm Zach. I'm also in the Geo Launchpad.
Hello, I'm Sam. I'm in recess. Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm in USIP. I'm Taryn, and I'm in Geo Launchpad. Hi, I'm Callie. I'm in recess.
I'm Ian, and I'm in USIP.
I'm Kristen, and I'm in Geo Launchpad.
Cool. USIP.
I'm Jamie. I'm in Geo Launchpad.
Enrique, you can introduce yourself. Say who you are, Enrique. Who are you?
I am the graduate assistant.
Yeah.
To the research program.
And what else are you, Enrique?
I'm also a graduate student at CU, and I do research.
Yeah.
You made it.
Hello, come sit, join us.
Just find your name tag somewhere up there. Anyone see Kylie's name tag? Okay, up there. There you go.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Prada. I'm in the recess program. I'm Kira. I'm in the recess program.
Hello, I'm Kyle. I'm in the Geo Launchpad program.
Kenny, USIP.
And I'm Addison. I'm in the recess program.
Yay, thank you. That was smooth, succinct. Yeah, I liked it. That was great. Okay. Online people, would you like to say who you are? Can I do this? Wait, if I stop sharing, it's been like 3 years of COVID. We should know how to do this, shouldn't we?
Still
So confused at all times. I feel like everything is tiny on the screen.
there you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, online people, we can see you and we should be able to hear you. So Lucia, why don't you go first?
Hi, I'm Lucia. I'm in the USIP program.
Philip?
I'm Philip. I'm in the research program.
Kaneni? It kind of defeats the purpose. I have to say your name. But okay.
Yeah, hi, I am in the recess program.
Okay, recess.
Recess.
No? Helena, do you want to say who you are, even though I said your name and everything?
Hi, I'm Helena and I'm in the recess program.
Great, thank you, online people. Okay, next in our program is Donna.
Yep.
Great, she just logged in. Hi, Donna. You should be able to share your screen at any point because we are ready for you to talk. What, you might be muted. Yep, you are.
Hang on. Sorry, I actually had no sound at all. So I saw your lips moving and I'm gonna guess you were talking to me, but I'm not positive.
Yes, we are. Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we're ready for you to talk whenever you would like to start and you can share your screen.
Okay, I have a quick question for you all though.
Yes.
Well, for the sound, for the video, do I have to do something special when I share my screen?
Share with sound, they're saying. So yes, because we tried this out earlier and it sounded muffled and we were like, why is this? We don't know. But the interns are saying if you share your screen with sound, it should work.
I'm so glad that all the smart people are there in the room with you.
I am also excited about that. It's really encouraging.
Yes. Okay. Give me just a minute.
Sure, take your time.
to make sure I share the correct.
We're gonna do speaker view.
That's the one.
Did we miss something?
Okay, so does that look right?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm Donna. I am so sad that I am not in the Boulder classroom with you all, but I know that I'm not the only one online, so that makes me feel a little better. I wanted to take just a few minutes to welcome you all. Thanks to Anika and Kelsey and also to Melissa for fitting this into the agenda. As I said, my name's Donna. I'm Donna Charlevoix. I am the Director of Education and Community Engagement Program at UNAVCO. Some of you know that, yeah, some familiar faces, but many new ones as well. So my group, the people that work in education and community engagement, are responsible for all the internship programs that you see here, all the workforce development, and all the communications that come out of UNAVCO, as well as all of the educational aspects of things. So like curriculum and technical short course training and things like that. You may be kind of wondering, like, UNAVCO is a very odd word, and like, what exactly is it, and why are we running internship programs? So what I would like to do is just give you a quick overview of our organization and the types of people that you may interact with over the next couple of weeks and possibly the next couple of years, depending on what direction your academics and career take you. Okay, so UNAVCO actually doesn't stand for anything anymore. It originally stood for the University Navistar Consortium. Navistar was the first GPS satellite, and we were founded to help support scientists to use that satellite. And so UNAVCO is a consortium, which means that it's a whole bunch of different organizations and institutions, universities mostly, that have come together to create a consortium. And we basically help them do research. The reason that UNAVCO exists is because back in the early 80s, when the first GPS satellite was launched, the GPS program was started by the Department of Defense. The National Science Foundation had a whole bunch of scientists come to them and say, we would really love to use GPS satellites to study Earth motions. We think this would be really, really interesting. The instrumentation that they need to do that back in the early 80s, and remember, think early 80s, prices of things was not very high. One set of instruments in order to use GPS for research costs about $250,000. And so they said, well, gosh, we cannot give every researcher their own equipment in order to use GPS to study the Earth. But what we could do is we could buy a bunch and we could give them to somebody to manage. And then if you wanted to borrow them, you could borrow them for a period of time and then send them back, and then we would loan them out to others. And so that's basically the birth of the UNAVCO facility. So we are a facility that helps support research. Now, we've evolved a lot since the early 80s. We do a lot more than just loan out GPS instrumentation. In fact, we manage a whole network of instruments now. But over the years, the name of this facility has changed, and currently it's called GAGE, the Geodetic Facility for the Advancement of Geoscience. So we are funded by the National Science Foundation. We are a nonprofit, so Anika, Kelsey, and Melissa all work for a nonprofit. You are working with the nonprofit, but our funding comes from federal agencies, including National Science Foundation, NASA, and the USGS. So this is the physical facility in Boulder. So those of you that are in Boulder, this looks familiar. This is the a view from a drone of the facility on a nice early morning. And in this facility, we have a lot of we have a classroom, a lot of offices. We have warehouse space, which you can see from these other photos. And you can also see the photo that's on the upper right. On the roof are a bunch of instruments. Those are GPS instruments. And so those are up there for development and testing. And a lot of the engineers are taking instruments up to the roof and back down to do calibration and so forth. So we have this physical facility where that houses a lot of the instruments. A lot of the instruments in the fall, during summer, the polar team will actually prep instruments for shipment in the fall to Antarctica. And so our engineers go to Antarctica for the winter season. What's the summer season in Antarctica, to install GPS and other geodetic instrumentation, but all of those ship out of our warehouse. So you might be saying to yourself, okay, great. I kind of understand GPS. I have a phone and I know I have GPS on my phone, but what is this geodesy thing that you're talking about? And it's basically an aspect of science that is used to study position. And it's one of the oldest aspects of physical science that we have the history on. And I could tell you about geodesy, but there's a much better little video cartoon that I'd like to show you. And some of you have seen this already. So hopefully bear with me that this will work with the sound.
A long time ago, in ancient Egypt, a clever human named Eratosthenes figured out that when the sun was directly above a deep well in one city, you could stand in a nearby city to the north, measure the angle of the shadows there, and multiply that by the distance between the two cities to get the distance around the entire Earth. With that, the science of geodesy was born. Geodesy deals with the measurement and representation of the Earth, or to put it more simply, it's the science of where things are, and just as importantly, where they have been and where they are going. Through geodesy, we learn the rough size and shape of the Earth, the direction of its rotation, its distance from the sun, and more. Through triangulation, we could create detailed maps of entire countries. We even figured out that the Earth isn't quite a perfect sphere, and after some arguments and expeditions to Lapland and Peru, we measured that it's just a bit thicker in the middle. Building on this information, we found tons of practical uses for geodesy. Using stars as reference points and accurate watches, we could reliably determine latitude and longitude so that ships could cross giant oceans to get where they needed to go. Explorers visited uncharted regions, mapped them, and even found the tallest mountain in the world. Later, engineers built railroads to get us to all of these places. With a little math and the same reference surface, rail tunnels could be started on both sides of a mountain and somehow still meet in the middle. Life was good. And once we invented radio telescopes and satellites, things got even better. When scientists used a bunch of small radio dishes like one big one to look at quasars, somebody got the idea that you could use these measurements to determine very accurately the distance between the telescopes. Now we can look at the movement of the Earth's crust, changes in how long days are, and how the Earth wobbles on its axis. Satellites also became very important. By analyzing their orbits, we can learn about our planet's changing size and shape and gravity. And by making laser measurements, we can look at everything from changes in the height and shape of the oceans and ice sheets to how the tides work. So, from ancient Egypt to the hundreds of satellites in orbit today, geodesy continues to have a huge impact on our lives. And all because somebody, a long time ago, decided to look down a well.
All right, let's just switch back over here. Okay, so I wanted to share a couple of practical applications that we support, that some of the people that you'll be interacting with throughout the summer and possibly into the fall. If you're in the Boulder facility, you probably walked by a big poster at the entrance about INSAR, interferometric synthetic aperture radar. That poster, by the way, you should take a look at it, was actually created by an intern with the help of some staff. So that was one of their summer projects. But the INSAR satellite basically passes over multiple times, and it detects phase shift related to the movement of Earth. It turns out that the signal that comes from the satellite is attenuated by the atmosphere, so you can actually use it to determine atmospheric effects. So it's used in some cases to help with how much water vapor is in the air for hurricanes and other severe storms. This is a nice summary of what we refer to as the geodetic toolbox. And so you can see on the upper left there, the INSAR, which uses radar images of the Earth's surface to look at ground deformation. We use drones and photogrammetry to look at terrestrial changes. We have, just going clockwise here, borehole strain meters. So these are actually instruments that are inserted into the ground somewhere between 100 and 250 meters, depending on what the bedrock is like. So they basically drill down and bore down into the earth, and then they put this instrument in that has cables that run out to it, and then they grout that instrument to the bedrock so that it's coupled very, very tightly. So any small motion, nano strains that happen are actually detected by these instruments, and they're very important for looking at earthquakes and potential movement. LiDAR, especially terrestrial laser imaging, is an important part of what we do. And this is, we use it outside, but sometimes you'll actually see police departments and other companies actually use it to scan the interior of the building so that you can actually get a 3D image of it. Of course, GPS, which is the global positioning system, is how UNAVCO started. But it is just a part of what's called the GNSS, which is the Global Navigation Satellite System. So over that 30-year period, many other countries now have GPS instruments. And so collectively, we call them the GNSS. And then measuring gravity and changes in gravity is a really important component of geodesy. UNAVCO doesn't do a lot of gravity measurements, but they are largely collected by NASA and their satellites. So just to kind of give you an idea of some of the science that we support. So we basically work with a lot of university researchers. In fact, some of the faculty at some of the universities that you come from that are your home institutions are some of the scientists that we support. And almost any physical science topic area, any geoscience topic area is something that we can use geodetic data for. And this is really important because originally it was envisioned that geodesy and GPS would be used to study plate motions. And it turns out that we can actually use that data for a lot of things beyond that. We work internationally. And so we have in our instrumentation group, we have a lot of engineers that will actually have to travel to set up and maintain instrumentation, and we have two different types of ways that we collect data. One is called a campaign, and that's where basically a faculty member or a researcher would say, I want to study this volcano, or I want to go down and study some other phenomena. And an engineer will go out with the researcher. They will set up the GPS instrumentation, leave it there for a period of time, and then perhaps go back a year later to see how the differences were. We also run networks as well, and those are GPS instrumentation that are permanently located, and they're collecting data 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can see here, this photo is of one of the instruments that's in Nepal. Back in 2015, I know it's getting to be almost 10 years ago, there was a really devastating earthquake in Nepal, the Gorkha earthquake. And you may remember during that time, there were some news articles talking about if the height of Mount Everest had changed. How do they know that the height of Mount Everest may have changed with an earthquake? It's from this data. And so we actually had engineers that flew to Nepal and were on the ground within 3 days of the earthquake. And what's really interesting is in these really terrible humanitarian situations, the primary goal is to help people and to get people to safety. The secondary goal is to support the science. And so the scientists and our engineers would go out on these humanitarian missions, and then if there was some extra capacity, they would collect the science. So in no way did the science data collection ever interfere with people being helped. We have instruments in the tropics as well. So this is a site that is in Mexico, again, back in 2015, but the Hurricane Patricia came through, and you'll notice this is the kind of the GPS radome here on top of this building before the hurricane and afterwards. And so we were able to actually get a lot of really important information about the atmosphere during that hurricane passage. Just really briefly, we'll look at a couple more. We actually have instrumentations that are out on oil platforms on California and the Gulf of Mexico. We have instrumentation that are in the interior part of the US. Here's a photo from Utah. We monitor Mount St. Helens. It's recently the anniversary of the explosion of Mount St. Helens in the 80s. And we have multiple instruments throughout the volcano that is monitoring the changes, the inflation and deflation, not just in Mount St. Helens, but other volcanoes in the West. All of these instrumentation collect data. Some of them have data loggers, but many of them actually transmit the data in near real time back to the Boulder facility, believe it or not. And in order to do that, there's a complex set of communications that have to be set up. And so sometimes they'll have to have repeating towers in order to have the stations talk to each other to be able to get to a cell network that will then transmit the information back. We use cellular networks to transfer the data. And as you can imagine, I know some of you are probably paying your own cell phone bills, and they're kind of expensive. I haven't checked recently, but a couple of years ago, the cell phone bill that UNAVCO had with Verizon was $30,000 a month in order to transmit all of this data. And then you can see some of our partners here in Haiti actually working on one of the instruments. So how do we support the science? This is how I'll kind of wrap up. I just showed you a lot of photos of the instrumentation in different parts of the world. We have about 25 to 30 staff that really support the instrumentation efforts. And that instrumentation is any of these terrestrial laser scanners, drones, GPS equipment, both campaign and network. That instrumentation is great, but we really need the data in order to do the science. And so we have a team of about 25 software engineers, data technicians, who basically manage all of the data that comes into the archive. They make sure it's processed correctly. They make sure it has metadata, and they also create data products. So what you're seeing here are the products of the data in some kind of visual way that makes sense. The top image is an INSAR image that shows deformation changes. The map that you see of the Western US has some blue arrows on there. Those are vectors that are showing the direction of plate motion. And the length of the arrow, of course, as a vector, shows the magnitude, so the amount of movement. And this is actually, we're able to obtain this because we run those networks and we have those permanent installations throughout the Western US. And then the image that you see on the right is actually a time series that goes from 2004 to 2022, or late 2021, that shows the motion of an instrument, a single instrument. The name of that instrument is ABO7. And it shows how it has moved north and south, east and west, and up and down. So we can see in 3 dimensions how much the ground has moved. So we have all these instruments, we get all this data. The data is accessed by researchers, also by educators. There's a lot of people that are teaching in universities and even high schools who are using these materials to help students understand Earth. And then the last part of this is to kind of make sure that all that data gets in the hands of individuals that are teaching, that we're supporting the next generation of scientists. So you can actually see a photo there from a couple of years ago in that same Boulder classroom where some of you are, where we had a technical short course where we bring in graduate students and they learn from some of the experts in the field how to process data and how to understand it. And for all of these, we now do these mostly online, but all of these short courses for graduate students and even upper division undergraduates are free. You just have to apply and say why you're interested in the course. And then of course we run internship programs. And the main reason that we run internship programs is to really try to help support the next generation of scientists and help them discover the network of researchers and scientists that will help you advance your career. And then the last thing that I want to do is just kind of share some information about people as well. So you're not likely to see a lot of people during the summer because during COVID, UNAVCO went to a remote first organization. And so most of us are working remotely, such as myself today. But Dr. Mattioli is in charge of the geodetic infrastructure and all the instrumentation. He's a faculty member at many universities over the years. Dr. Menson is in charge of our data services. He and all of us live actually locally in Boulder and are occasionally in the facility. So you may see Dave occasionally and myself. I will probably be into the office a little more frequently now that there's interesting people in the office every day. And then I want to also give a shout out to our business office, which may seem a little bit invisible. And you may think, well, what do they have to do with supporting science? But they keep the lights on. Just this morning, I approved a rent check for the building that you all are in. And they also process your paychecks. So we really love the business office. They are super, you're going to hear from some folks from the business office throughout the day today. And then I'm not sure if Bex made it there yet or not, but Dr. Bex Bendick is the UNAVCO president. And I know that she will be on site today to welcome you and to meet you all and, wish you a really productive summer. So again, I'm sorry that I couldn't be there in person today. The kind of world that we live in at the moment. I do hope to see many of you, if not this summer, then possibly at science conferences this next conference season in the winter. So thank you.
Thank you, Donna. That was great. Okay, we're actually ahead of schedule today.
Yeah.
This is great. I love when we're ahead, which means that we can take like a 5-minute coffee break. So get up, stretch your legs, grab some coffee or water. Water's also fine. Then meet back here. I'm gonna be like a nice round number.
9:55?
Yes, meet back here at 9:55. So people, if you're online, you can log off and meet us at 55 after the hour. Does that make sense? Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. I will welcome everybody. My name is James Downing. I am the Senior Contracts and Permitting Manager here for UNAVCO. I'm an attorney here in Colorado. And you get to do the fun part with me, which are just like some contracts. Did everybody get a DocuSign email last night? Anybody not get something from DocuSign from me last night? You did not. No. And what is your name?
Cole, C-O-L-E, last name Steve. Well, he's not getting a computer, right? Yeah, I didn't get a laptop.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so never mind.
You don't need.
Yeah, you don't need this, and you're a USIP, right? Yeah, so then you don't have a housing agreement as well.
No.
So you just can kind of zone out if you want to. You can watch YouTube quietly, I don't care what you do. With so for everybody else and online, everybody got something? With just the 3? Okay,
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. So this is just, I walk you through these agreements so that number 1, you're forced to read them, and number 2, you understand what's in them and what you're assigning to. And that way, were you here last year?
It's been quite a while.
Quite a while.
He was in it recess like 2014,
2017.
17.
Oh, I thought I recognized you.
Sam was here last year.
Yep.
And so, and Philip and Lucia,
Oh,
and Kanini was here in 2020. We all are.
wow.
We're cool. They want to come back and hang out with us.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic.
So I remember.
So anyways, welcome back to those who have been here before, and welcome to those who are new. So this is just a pretty basic agreement for your computer. I'll walk you through a few of these spots. You'll have it on DocuSign, and I'll like you to sign those at some point, probably this morning. So computer you got, make sure in here that the ID matches what is on your computer, to make sure that we had the right spreadsheet information. So this computer, it's a NAVCO computer, it's a government computer, as you know. This is all about basically what you're allowed to do with this computer. Use it for your internship. If you need to put any programs on this whatsoever, any software, any applications, anything, whatever, just get an approval, a written approval from your mentor, and we can have IT put it on. We've had issues here in the past, not with interns, but with actual employees, with putting cracked programs on or skirting licenses, and then I get desist letters, and that's not fun to deal with. So please, 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 if you want anything on there, we're happy to accommodate and get.
They tried to let Anika and I know. They're mentors.
You are not the mentors.
Technically not.
So if your research mentors say, we need this program, email us so we can get you that program and make sure it's okay. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, so everything has to go through Kelsey or Anika or both. And then we will have IT hopefully do it if you're here. If you're remote, we'll figure that out. But go through Kelsey and or Anika, please. Okay, and so this is also about negligence and damage to a computer. So if you decide to leave your computer on top of a car in the middle of July here in Boulder and go for a drive, probably not going to end up well for a computer. If you are working at a coffee shop and you decide, you know what, I want to go down to the creek because it's hot and I want to go for a swim, and you come back 2 hours later, your computer's gone because it was stolen, not a good idea. But if you have your car broken into and it's stolen, or something just happens with the computer where it's reasonable wear and tear, or something happens with it where it breaks, I mean, it's an electronic, that thing happens, we won't hold you responsible for that. So what we would hold you responsible for is reasonable costs of repair or replacement for lack of care and negligence. So it is a negligence thing. If you are good faith taking care of your computer, doing what you can, we won't hold you responsible for that. And we've never had an issue yet so far we've had an issue with computers breaking, but not with any kind of an intern needing to pay for it. For those of you who will be remote and we have shipped computers, hang on to the shipping box online. This is probably more pertaining to, and then send it back with that original box and the return label, please. And that's the box again. And so this goes through August 5th. So August 5th is the deadline to have computers back. If they're not back by then, or you don't have some kind of an agreement in place or a procedure in place to return them after that, they will be considered lost or stolen, and we'll have to act accordingly, except for you. And also, don't keep any PII, personal identifying information, on these. We've had these back in the past. We've had bank account information, and we've had password information. We've had a lot of personal stuff that's been kept on a computer. We don't want that. We don't want the responsibility and liability of having your personal information, number one, but also just to protect yourselves, don't keep stuff on here so that it doesn't come back to us and that your information is not shared throughout. Loss limit is basically the cost of repair or replacement of a computer. Once again, as long as you're doing your diligence and acting in good faith, you won't have to worry about this. But just remember, one of the biggest things will be not breaking the computer, but it would be downloading stolen, cracked unlicensed software, skirting around it, illegal programs. Don't hack the government with these. Don't hack companies with these. Don't do that kind of stuff. Networks, once again, if you have network issues, talk to Kelsey or Anika, and then they can talk with IT if you can't get connected to something. You probably are going to be limited on certain accesses within the building, just because we have secure networks and we have a lot of firewalls and different programs. I don't know, for those of you working here full-time over the summer, however, inside of the building, you probably will have access to all these, otherwise it gets difficult to access the program. Do they have that? Yeah, VPN in other secure areas, some of our docs, all that kind of stuff.
You know the use of interns might, but I don't know that the others would have that access or need it, so.
Yeah, but use it probably would.
If you do, your mentor will tell you.
Yeah. And the use of your mentor, I think, are all UNAFCO employees, is that correct? Yeah, okay. So that helps too. And we have multiple networks on it. Don't create subnets. Once again, just don't turn into, anonymous or something on these things. Use your judgment. Everybody here is here for a reason, and you all have good judgment. That's really what it is through here, and it just goes through a bunch of configurations and stuff. If you have any questions whatsoever on, can I use this program? Can I download this? Can I reconfigure this? Whatever. Just make sure to ask, excuse me, Kelsey or Anika once again in writing, please, so that we have a trail of that, and then they will respond with a approval or procedure or denial, whatever it may be. But I'm sure that they would work to accommodate you with whatever you need. Termination, once again, if you leave this early, the computer is due back at that time. Otherwise, it's due back August 5th. Once again, you're going to indemnify us if you do turn into a hacker and you start hacking into programs and the government comes after you or companies come after you. You're not going to hold us responsible because you're doing your own thing on this. Modifications, upgrades, and repairs. Once again, if you need anything at all, something's breaking, or you're like, this is just not fast enough, or it doesn't have the right applications or the right RAM, whatever it may be, just work with Kelsey and Anika, and they will work to figure that out. Don't make any configuration changes or port changes or anything without, once again, written approval from Kelsey or Anika. So that's basically it for this. Any questions with your computers?
What OS do they have installed?
What
OS do they have?
I don't know. You're all on Dells, right?
No, the use of interns have Macs.
Oh, they do?
No, the only one that has Mac is Ian.
Oh,
I don't know that we've upgraded to the Monterey yet, so it's the one just before that, I think.
Yeah, we're all kind of, I guess, we're not uniform. Some folks have upgraded, some folks haven't.
Okay.
Some might even still be on. What's the one before that? Yeah,
But
Big
most of
Sur is the one before it.
All the interns here except for Ian are on Dell stuff, so.
Okay.
We're good.
For Dells, I have no idea.
Dell.
Oh.
We did 11 though, right?
Yeah,
Scott
yeah,
asked,
11.
Scott was like, do you want to go 11? We said, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you all have one.
Well, we can find out. I think I'm on Monterey. Some people are, some people aren't. Depends on what applications and programs you use, because it's not compatible without UNAVCO programs and applications. But if you need a specific OS or you don't want the latest OS because of whatever you're running, once again, just let them know, and we can accommodate that. So that's that. Any other questions online? No? Yep. No, just don't store personal information on it. Because yeah, in notes or in a Word doc or somebody had bank account information that they left on there. So if we can open it up, once you hand it back to us and you have something stored on there, that's what we don't want. That's a liability thing for you more than us, but just don't do that kind of a thing. But yeah, emails, not a big deal. Yeah.
You said it's due back on August 5th, but that's the virtual week. So do you just want us to drive back up here to turn it in that day?
No, so if you're not here, and there will be a few people, I think, that would be in person here at that time. wouldn't there be?
So, okay, so we would like them back by August 5th. We have a few options. Option one is the week that you go home, you can leave them here. You're like, I don't need it for the last week because we're really just gonna be doing like presentation prep. You're free to leave it here. If you live locally, you can drop it off after the program. If you want to take it home with you, you can ship it back. You just need to, and yeah, we'll provide everything you need to ship it back, so to tell us what you want to do. Is that clearly up for everyone?
So I should keep your box in case.
Yes.
Yep.
Bucks,
Yep.
We like them, we need them, it's in storage.
And we've had instances in the past, actually several instances where an intern has decided to an extended internship and work with UNAVCO on different applications or different projects. And we just extend the term of a computer for several months. So there's a lot of options. It's just the standard default is if you're not using it or there's no other plan in place that's been approved in writing from Kelsey or Anika, then it's due back on the 5th. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else? Anything online? No. Okay. So that's that. And then we'll quickly go through some housing for those of you who are here in housing, which this won't apply to the USIPs or the remote recess. So, but the rest of everybody else, if you in DocuSign are in housing and don't have an agreement, just let me know, please. But I believe that everybody should have one that needs one.
It's like,
Oh my God.
yeah, unsure.
Yeah.
You want everyone to sign the computer contracts now,
Sure.
just at some point today?
Yeah, I mean, now is easy. It's just because you're here doing it. And it's fast to do it over DocuSign. There we go. Okay. And you can do it right after this too. So occupancy agreement, we have every year we have an agreement with Bear Creek with CU to house interns for the Geo Launchpad and the recess. So this is good today through August 5th, but once again, it's held for check-in yesterday.
Yeah, and you guys will check out July 30th.
Yeah, that's
This is August 5th. That's, I mean,
It doesn't matter.
So, yeah, that's fine. They're gonna go before that, so.
Yeah, if it's after that, that's an issue. Yeah,
But yeah.
okay, well, I guess you're not here until August 5th, but
James,
whatever.
did you send one to Kayla?
To, what's your name?
So
Kayla Bird is actually.
she'll be, I know, we're deviating from tradition here. Kayla will be living in Bear Creek this year. So we have
Oh,
one USIP.
I did not, but I will send you one after this. Oh, I did not realize that we were putting anybody.
Sorry, that's on me. I should have.
That's fine. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. It'll only take a few minutes. So then it's important for you to listen to this. So, yeah, held for check-in yesterday. Anybody have any issues checking in? Any issues with your rooms now? Great.
They were slow. It's okay to be honest. They were slow checking you guys in.
Oh, they
Don't worry
were.
about it. I heard.
Yeah.
They were slow.
It was like front office people disappeared. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
I was just like standing there waiting.
Yeah. we
What?
checked the numbers and no one was answering. I already checked in, but I went back to ask the question. You guys done for a long time.
Yeah, I was there from 2 to like 5.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's okay to speak up. If things aren't
Yeah.
going well,
Yeah, please.
tell us so we can do
Please.
something about it. Or
Yeah.
At least tell them like, hey, we'll just expedite this.
I have no issue relaying that information if you have any complaints. We've been working with them for a very long time, and that is unacceptable. So there's a damage deposit for the rooms, but they come out of your stipend. We used to do where you'd have to prepay that, but which is easier. It's a great idea.
Yeah, it's easier for us.
Yeah, and then that gets dropped afterwards. So this is the same thing that's been on for several years now. IRS, this is taxable income. Publication 15B on page 15 of the IRS publication. Employer provided housing is taxable income. So you will get a 1099 for your internship at the end of the year anyways, and this will be included on it. Just an FYI that this will be part of your taxes. Luckily, the majority of interns don't have to pay much in taxes anyways, if anything, so that's usually nice. But just make sure that you are aware of that and that you plan for that at the end of the year. And so I have this section in here just to make sure that you are very aware that this will show up on a 1099. Residential purposes only. I'm sure everybody here knows what dorms are for. Colorado has legal weed. There's even weed bars. However, CU is under federal regulation, as it is federally funded. And so acts as an agency. So weed is not legal in the residences on CU. I'm sure you've already seen a ton of it around though, but just don't smoke weed in the dorms.
I think it's also just not legal on campus at all, right?
Yeah, it's not legal
at all
on
on
campus.
campus.
Even if you're renting, it's not legal to consume it.
Usually, but that's not a legal thing. That's more of
That's
a,
the But your landlord can tell you.
your landlord.
You can't smoke.
Yeah.
Don't smoke on campus.
It's going to be a lease stipulation, not a legal thing, but this is a legal thing. This is a federal statute thing. Just like, don't use it for, don't cook meth, don't do those kind of things in this. Just use it as a temporary apartment. Maintenance repairs, if something does happen, break with it, tell Kelsey or Anika immediately, and then also tell Bear Creek. Don't let it go. You don't want to be held liable for something that's not your fault. If it is your fault, that's gonna be different. There have been some pretty big charges to interns at the end of years before. One thing that really gets people is rearranging furniture and rearranging dorm rooms. Getting furniture taken out and put into hallways or to common areas, bringing some from common areas into dorms. Bear Creek, CU in general, Bear Creek, they charge a lot of money labor-wise to put them back into where it was. And that would be on whoever did it. So anybody that's an occupant in there. And it's expensive. Like to move chairs out of a common area back into a room or vice versa, it can be several $100s in just labor costs. And interns have had to eat that before. So just don't move that stuff. I've seen instances of people taking out walls because they wanted a more open floor plan. That was really dumb.
That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. That was many thousands of dollars. And that's just obvious. Don't rearrange it. If you want an open floor plan, just go sit outside for a while. Pets, I don't think pets are allowed unless they are a service animal. I don't know if they allow emotional support animals anymore. No. And so I think it's just service animals now. So if you have a service animal, just make sure you arrange that with Bear Creek and let Anika or Kelsey know, just so we're aware. Key cards, keys used to be more expensive, but they're still expensive. They've been the same price for years now. $10 if you lose your key card, and a key itself is $45. Alterations, once again, don't decide to do a DIY project and change your dorm around for whatever reason. Assignment subletting, don't do it. It's we are also on the hook for this. We sign the agreements with Bear Creek, and then we have you sign agreements with us so that we can pass this through for your part of the liability. We have our part, and we're not going to sign or sublet anything. Everything should be provided. If something's not provided, once again, let us know ASAP. If they were slow to check in, who knows what the staffing is like this year. Alcohol is allowed in the rooms if you are 21. It's still not allowed out in the regular grounds. Boulder itself, you can have alcohol in parks and open spaces. They're fine with that, but once again, only if you're 21. Yeah, phone jacks haven't been active for many years now. If you want a landline, I don't know, go back in time, I guess. Internet should be fine and live there. Anybody have internet problems? Anything? No? Okay, good. Then move out. Make sure you clean all your stuff. Don't leave the sink full of dirty dishes. Don't leave rubbish everywhere because they will charge a lot for that as well. Again, their labor rates are sky high.
Also related to that, we provide you all with kitchen supplies. If they are not clean, that will also come out of your stipend, like your completion stipend. So please clean everything, because even though you're in a shared apartment, it'll come from all of you as well as very obvious supplies.
I was just curious, do we need to put all of that back into the totes before we leave? Okay.
Yes, it should all be clean and packed back,
Okay.
just how you found it, really.
That is a great question too, because it's not in here, because this is the housing agreement. That's a different thing.
This is our.
Yeah. Yes.
Do we leave a linen package there?
Yeah, so that belongs to CU, so that also remains.
I just wanted to make sure that wasn't something we were supposed to take and then they charge us or something.
No, we did pay to rent it, which
Yeah.
I think is wild, but yeah,
It's the washing fee.
Yeah. Yeah.
sure. Okay, yeah, so leave that.
And yeah, so that's basically it. Just leave it the way it was. Normal wear and tear won't get charged as well. What is the definition of that? It's subjective, to be honest. And so if you have a question, ask.
Move up to the fire stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so don't bring guns, don't make bombs, don't do these fireworks, especially here. We've had such drought in the last several years that fireworks start fires every single year. We've already had many fires this year. I'm sure some of you saw the one right before
We're
New Year's.
actually on a red band where it's like absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
No shooting, no fireworks, no nothing.
Yep, yeah, nothing,
People
so,
will find a hefty fine if you get caught with something.
yeah. If you use it, it could be more than just a fine. You could be jail or prison, depending on what happens. So don't do that, once again, don't make drugs, don't use highly flammable, like if you brought your chemistry set, just leave it in a box, don't use it, please. So- Yeah, there you go. You're on campus. There's a ton of it. Just don't keep it in the dorms. Yeah. So once again, no weapons, no firearms, just don't do that stuff. That's basically it. Just keep it as a place to stay. Yes.
So even if we're not staying there, like DocuSign makes us sign it, so you just want us to sign it.
You are not staying there?
You don't need to sign it. Oh, it won't let me like submit the first portion.
What's your name?
Jamie?
Okay. So if you're not staying there, I'll just resend it to you. Without that, and I'll just void it and resend it. Okay, so send you the housing and get rid of your housing. Perfect. Excellent. Okay. Kayla, yes. Jamie, no. Got it. Any other questions? No? All right. That's all I have for everybody. We'll do this and we'll leave this meeting. So once again, welcome, and I hope everybody's summers go well. And I'm around here as well if you ever have any questions for me.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry, you're wearing a mask, and I was like, who is this person? Come join us, I'm so glad that you're here.
I got on the airway shuttle.
Yay, good.
Oh, nice.
This is Scott.
His badge from Lakeside.
So should he just still watch that?
He's
Okay.
also heard a lot of stuff. He's a returning.
Oh, sweet. Then that's easy. And then he's already heard it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, James. That was great. I think we're ahead of schedule still. This is so fantastic. I love being ahead of schedule.
Yes. So I think our next thing is a break in photos.
Yes.
And then HR.
Yes. Let me see how far ahead of schedule we are. Ooh, we're a good chunk ahead of schedule. Okay. You get another 9-minute break? Because then we'll get back here at 35 after the hour. Okay, so take 9 minutes, stretch your legs, get some water, and then freshen up a little bit if you feel like it. Scott's gonna take photos. So, and they'll be online, so forever. So, if you want to do something, feel free. And then we'll meet back here, so. Dismissed.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the next presentation. This is Annette. She's gonna tell us all about human resources.
Oh, great, yes. So hi, everyone. Thank you for all of your IDs and everything. If y'all didn't get them back, please let me know, but I was paper clipping them together. So hopefully everything worked out just fine and we're good to go on that. For those who are on the Zoom, Naya will be setting up an individual Zoom so that we can go ahead and do your I-9 documentation also. So just be looking for those Zoom invites in the next couple of days, okay? So I am Annette Tangy. I am the HR manager for UNAVCO, and I get to bring to you the joys of human resources information. Yay, you're all excited, I know. So I'm going to apologize to you ahead of time. I spent the week in Arkansas on a farm with a whole bunch of pollen and windstorms, and so I'm having a little bit of trouble with my voice. No contamination or anything like that. So if you can't hear me, please raise your hand, but I might stop a few times and grab my water just so that I don't start coughing on you. Okay, so bear with me on that. So welcome to UNAVCO. I know you've heard this already today. And this is your HR intern orientation. And we're going to go through a lot of policies, procedures, working from home. How many of you will be actually working remotely? Okay, anybody? Okay, I see one hand on the, okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about ergonomics and how you sit at home to make sure that, you know, you're comfortable and you don't cause any strains on your necks or your back or anything like that. So we'll go through some of that. We'll talk about a little bit about pay, and I guess I could forward this a little bit and keep up with myself. We're going to talk about equal employment opportunity, harassment and discrimination, and what that means, workplace expectations, what we would like you to do as you're working. Some of this may have already been in your orientation guide from Kelsey and Anika, so it might be a little bit redundant. Bear with us there. I'm also going to talk about consensual, non-consensual relationships as you're here, and then in general, some of your employment opportunities. At any point in time, please stop me, ask me any questions. If you can't hear me again, please raise your hand, let me know. So equal opportunity, equal employment opportunity. UNAVCO is dedicated to the principles of equal employment opportunity in any term, condition, or privilege of employment. What that means is you have every opportunity as the next person, as the senior management, to grow and to learn and to be part of UNAVCO as an employee. I'm going to say you are not technically an employee, you are an intern, but our discrimination and harassment and equal opportunity applies to you also. So as I'm talking about employee, just know that you don't have the benefits that goes with being a full employee, but you do get to follow the policies. Lucky you. Okay. So with regards to our commitment, this prohibits discrimination with regards to race, religion, creed, color, national origin, age, marital or family status, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, genetic information, military service, and or other legally protected classes. There are some other classes out there that some states may have recognized. We go by the federal requirements for those that I just listed. So just know that if any time you feel that there's any discrimination based on any of those classes, please reach out to us and let us know, because we want to make sure to stop it and get that individual going in the right direction that may be causing that uncomfortability for you. We also prohibit harassment, any form of unlawful employment harassment, specifically including harassment that is based on legally protected statuses, which are all those statuses that I just ran through for you, okay? And one of the things I hear a lot is, well, I didn't want to come to HR because I didn't want to feel retaliated against. If you do bring something to HR or to your project managers or program managers, excuse me, and you do feel there is any retaliation, please let me know right away. That will stop, and you are protected under our policy from any retaliation. We do not want harassment or discrimination of any kind in our organization. So please know that 15 years of HR, I take it pretty seriously. So let me know, okay? We also have the Americans with Disabilities Act and religious accommodations. What this means is that if you need an accommodation for a disability, please reach out. This could be if you needed a wheelchair access, we would have to try to figure out how to do that within this building. We have a ramp over here, so you would be able to get in and out of the classroom. But we would have to figure out something to get you up the steps if you needed to do that. Okay, so when we're talking about an accommodation, there could be a lot of different accommodations. I would not be able to build a ramp because that would be considered an undue hardship to the organization. But I might be able to build you a table or set up a table up front so that you would be comfortable and accommodated in the under the ADA. Okay, so there's a number of different things that we can do. Please let me know, and we can work with Kelsey and Anika to make that happen. With regard to religious accommodations, some of us celebrate different holidays and say that you would like to celebrate your holiday, and that's not one of our regular ones. We may be able to work with Kelsey and Anika to adjust the holidays. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about our upcoming holidays, but we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to celebrate and participate in your religious activities. I do know everybody has presented us with a COVID card. So, but as you go along in life, your next job, you might find that a company requires COVID and you don't want to get a booster and they're requiring a booster. If you have a religious reason for not wanting to do that booster, you can request an accommodation for the COVID vaccination, okay? That's totally up to you. That's your personal business. But as an organization, that would be something that we would be required to do if you present a religious reason for that accommodation, okay? We also have to make sure that when we're providing these accommodations, that there is no direct threat to your health or safety and or that of other individuals. Okay, so that'll be something that we will take into consideration as we work with you interactively on any accommodations that you might need. Okay. So we also want to make sure that we have a workplace that's free from harassment. One of the best ways to keep that from happening is to make sure that you respect everybody who's next to you, around you, you're working with, you're talking to. We're all different. We all bring different things to the job, to the organization. And each one of us, that uniqueness makes us us and makes us grow in our organization. It makes the organization grow. So just remember to be respectful of those around you. And then any harassment in any form is prohibited. And I'm going to talk about sexual harassment, and I'm going to talk about quid pro quo and a hostile work environment. So those will be two types of harassment that we're going to talk about, but know that there's a lot of different harassment. And I could do a whole week seminar on HR policies, and I know you don't want to know that. But if for any reason you're feeling uncomfortable or you're feeling harassed or you're feeling discriminated against, please reach out to us and let us know, because we want this to be a great opportunity for you. So our harassment is a verbal, a physical, or a visual harassment. And you can have an implied. So I can walk up and say, I could walk up to any one of you and make a comment that is just kind of, I think it's no big deal. But you may feel that it's harassment, or that because I'm tall and I'm big and I could just walk up and you could feel intimidated. And the statement that I make could make you feel like I'm harassing you. If that's the case, let us know. Stop the person and say, I'm feeling uncomfortable about this. Can you please take a step back and let's talk? Or if you're not comfortable doing that, again, reach out to Kelsey, Anika, or myself, and we'll help walk through that process, okay? Things that we don't really think about, and especially after hours. We could all be out at one of the great hamburger stands, eating a hamburger. And I'm going to say that in of itself could be offensive to somebody because you might be a vegetarian and hamburgers might not be something that you would find comfortable, okay? So what I just said is an example of a way that somebody might feel uncomfortable in communications and interactions that you might have, okay? But I'm going to use the hamburger stand. We're all at a hamburger stand and we start selling some jokes, wild stories, things that we did last night, things that we did with our boyfriend, our girlfriend, our partners. Those might not be appropriate to share, and that might make somebody uncomfortable. Okay, so just be a little cautious of what you're sharing and how much you're sharing. TMI, too much information, sometimes does not help you make friends. Okay, so when you start telling jokes and they might be a little off color or a little off base, or they might be, and again, I just said off color, that could be offensive, okay? So I'm throwing some things in here to kind of give you some points that there are small things that you might say that might be part of your everyday routine or activities, like, hey guys, ladies, I know there are a number of ladies in the room, but sometimes depending on where we come from, guys is something that we say. I come from the South. Hey, y'all. Okay. That might not be a comfortable thing for others. So just kind of be aware of it. All right. Don't get overloaded in it, but just be aware of it. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. So what is sexual harassment? So this is a form of discrimination that involves unwelcome sexual advances and where somebody is requesting sexual favors and or other unwanted verbal or physical conduct for any sexual nature. This is not just male to female. This can be male to male, male to female to female. It takes on all different kinds of interaction that can happen. So when we're talking about sexual harassment, we're talking about a submission to such conduct when it's made explicitly or implicitly as a term or condition of your employment, okay? So if I were to walk up to my assistant, Naya, and I were to say, hey, I think you're really cute. I want to date you. And Naya says, yeah, I'm not interested in that. And the next thing Naya knows, she gets a really bad performance review, okay? That is harassment based on sex. And it was very explicit because I was out there telling her what I wanted, and I made a condition of her employment based on her reaction to my advancement, okay? So it's also a submission to or rejection of such conduct is used as a basis for decision affecting your employment. Again, her employment was going to be impacted because I gave her a bad performance review, right? So we want to be careful about if somebody asks you or offers or makes a statement to you, please let us know. And if anybody tells you that they're going to impact your internship, that is a big red flag, okay? If anybody tells you that they can get you a full-time job, that's a big red flag, all right? So just kind of be aware of that. So the two kinds of common forms of harassment are hostile work environment. And this is where I might walk up to, and Kelsey, can I use you? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I might walk up to Kelsey and she's sitting in her desk and she said, my neck is really, really sore. And I start giving her a nice little back massage. Well, I think I'm being helpful. She's feeling uncomfortable, okay? A one-time thing, a one-off is not necessarily going to fall under the harassment category. But say that every time I go and see Kelsey, I walk into her and I said, oh, I know you've been sitting at your desk. Let me go ahead and massage your shoulders. Let me just kind of work out those kinks for you. Over time, she might go, this is really uncomfortable. It's kind of a little icky. And I don't really want to be in my office. So that could be a hostile work environment. So quid pro quo is the one I was just sharing with you about my assistant, where I could say, I want you to do this, X, Y, and Z. And for this, I'm going to give you a salary increase. If you don't do this, I'm going to give you a bad performance review. I give you something, you give me something, usually in a sexual nature or sexual advancement. Okay. Keep those out of the workplace. We don't want those to happen. Okay, so now it's your turn to talk to me. And I'm going to try to keep an eye on the ones on the video on the Zoom. So can you tell me, we have a fellow intern promises you part of their stipend if you do half of their work. Would this be an example of a quid pro quo? Okay, I see a lot of yeses.
I don't think so.
Okay, I see a no. Okay, so this would not be, okay, because they don't have a supervisory, they don't have a managerial, they can't actually give you something. I mean, yeah, they could pay you their stipend on the side, but that's between you and them. This is not actually an appropriate behavior because you really want credit for the work that you did. You don't want to do their work and give them the credit. But they're not your, this person is your equal and they have no supervisory power or power differential over you, okay? And your employment. Still inappropriate though. So your mentor or supervisors say they will hire you on a full-time basis if you go out with them. Would this be harassment? Yes, I see a lot of yeses. Yep, absolutely. Their authority, they're offering this for that, quid pro quo. Community member sends you an email berating you, saying you're not, there's a picture over here, so I got to look down at my slide. You're not doing your job. You're not very good at your job. Would this be harassment under quid pro quo? That's correct. I see a lot of no's. It is downright rude. But this is a great example of a hostile work environment. Okay, so if you're constantly getting somebody who's sending you nasty emails and you're kind of like, where's this coming from? I'm doing a great job and other people are having a good time and enjoying what I'm doing. Let us know because it could be a hostile work environment. Okay, a NAVCO employee makes an offensive joke towards you. Okay, I see some no's. Okay. No, this is again an example of a hostile work environment. Good job. Good job, Anika, on the.
You would hope that I know these things.
We keep them secret until this, presentation. So let's talk about a hostile work environment. An intern consistently makes inappropriate jokes and remarks of a sexual nature. See some yeses. Okay. Yes, this makes others uncomfortable and is offensive. Makes you not want to come to work, makes you not want to get up in the morning. A mentor or supervisor provides little to no instruction and calls you incompetent for not understanding how to spend your time. Hostile work environment. Yep, degrading and undermining statements from a supervisor or mentor, not appropriate. You log onto a Zoom call and somebody says, you look very nice today. Okay, I see some no's. No? No, this is a positive interaction and comment. Now, if I walk up to Kelsey and I say, Kelsey, that is a really nice dress. It really shows off your curves. You said I could use you, okay. That is offensive. Now, Kelsey might be like, hey, this is really nice. She thinks I look good and I'm rocking it, right? The point here is that a hostile work environment to one may be different than a hostile work environment to another. So what happens is when you come to me, I'm going to say, how did it happen? What did it happen? Did it happen more than once? What did you feel? So we're going to do a lot of that exploratory type questioning. And Kelsey can say, Annette, don't you ever do that to me again when you're doing an orientation. I was uncomfortable and I didn't like it. Okay, I'm done. That's it. We'll come up with a different scenario and I'll touch base with her beforehand instead of just volunteering her. But you need to be kind of sensitive that something for one may not be the same for something for another. Okay, so your mentor or supervisor threatens your job if you don't agree to go on a date with them. Would this be a hostile work environment? You're kind of, could be both, yes. Technically under this, it is a quid pro quo, but if it constantly happens, it could make your work environment hostile. So yes, it could go both ways. Very good. Hi. Are you sneaking in?
Hello.
Oh, you want the sexual harassment training too, huh? Okay, come on in. No. So under hostile work environment, quid pro quo, sexual harassment, we're really going to look at the reasonable person evaluation of the situation. I want to hear it. I want to know about it. And I want to be able to help walk through that. And I want to make sure that if anybody's causing this type of environment for you that we get that stopped. So please, again, reach out to Kelsey, Anika, or myself and let us know if there's anything that we can do. So the next section we get to go into is no more sexual harassment, no more ADA. Does anybody have any questions on any of those? No, y'all did really well on the questions, so thank you. So UNAVCO staff and mentors, you are all here for a great opportunity and learning adventure. And we want to make sure that it's really positive and that you can get all the learning out of it. And take some stuff back to your education, take some stuff back to your university. We want you to be able to have open ideas and share ideas. Okay, so we all need to be open to receiving those ideas and hearing what people say and bring to us. And again, remember, we're all coming from different backgrounds, and I don't have any understanding of geodesy except for that I work for UNAVCO. So when somebody starts talking to me about it, I start asking a bunch of questions, and sometimes I get really excited about some of the questions, and maybe I overdo it. Okay, so understand that people are going to be interested in what you're doing. And they're really going to want to know. They're not intruding, they're not pushing, but this is your opportunity to share your ideas and your thoughts about what you'll be learning here. Also be open to recommendations and thoughts. I am way too old to change my ways, as my husband keeps telling me. But I do like hearing new things, and I do like playing with them and seeing how I can go ahead and implement them. So always be open to new thoughts. Then offer opportunities to share new and exciting knowledge. Bring your background. You might be, Anika, you're a marine biologist. Is that correct?
Sure, we can call it that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see in science. A lot of things are overlapping, and what you end up being called is like whatever your degree is in. It's really like ecology, but also biogeochemistry, but it could also be marine science. So yes.
Okay. So see, all of those different things come into play as you're talking to individual people about what you're bringing to them and what they can bring to you. So thank you for sharing that, because I did meteorology and oceanography with the Navy. I would never be able to understand what she's talking about with marine biology or that, because it was a totally different world, but I have some knowledge, a little bit, that it does give me some interest. So be open to that. Concerns or conflicts. If you do run into a concern or a conflict, not discrimination, harassment, okay, those are all HR type things, but say you might not necessarily agree on the way something is being done, you're laying out a poster and it might be a little off, try to open up and have those conversations and really listen to each other, okay? If you do by chance come to a point where you're not gonna really be able to agree, please feel free to reach out to Kelsey and to Anika to get over that hump, because that's really important. Your deliverables every week is what's going to make you get paid. So you want to make sure that you can meet your meet your deadlines and get your job done. So don't let somebody get in the middle of it. Don't get into a fight about it. Talk it out, work it out. And if you need somebody to step in and help, you have two great people who can do that for you. Okay. I do want to say that as you're doing all of this, you're working relationships. There are people that are very interesting and very open to meeting and engaging in new people. Do not get involved in romantic relationships. Those are prohibited under this program. So we want to make sure that if there's any employee, faculty member, a mentor, or a community member that starts doing any of the sexual harassment things, you can actually say, I'm sorry, under my program, romantic relationships are prohibited. So please let me go, leave me alone. Don't talk to me about this. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, just say, look, I need to go to HR, okay? But just know that those relationships are not prohibited under your program, all right? Any questions on any of this? You had a finger up back there. You had a finger up back there. Do you have any questions?
Sorry, I was confused by they're not prohibited.
There, no, sorry, they are prohibited. They are not allowed. Sorry. Thank you for clarifying that. No. Not that you're listening. No, I'm glad you are listening. They are strictly prohibited. I think it says strictly prohibited. No, sorry. I'm trying to read and do all that, you know, and I can't see. Here, glasses. There we go. Okay, complaint procedures. As we kind of chatted about, always start at the lowest level before escalating it. See if you can work it out. See if you can open those communications up. If you need to escalate them, please take them to Anika or Kelsey. If that doesn't work, you can go to Donna. Have they met Donna?
Virtually this morning. Yeah.
Okay. So Donna's a great person to go to also. And then if that's not comfortable or if that doesn't get anywhere, please come to HR. Okay. If you're being harassed by a supervisor or mentor, what are we going to do? Go to HR. There's a couple of avenues, Kelsey and Anika. Don't let it happen. So one thing is, you know, a lot of people come in and they want to vent and they want to talk about something. That's great. I'm open for venting and talking about something. But if it comes to a point that there really is a case and some discrimination, harassment going on, I will have to do an investigation. I will do my best to keep that investigation as confidential as needed. But by law, I am required to do that. So don't be afraid to come talk to me. I'm not going to walk in and go, oh, hey, the HR assistant is going to have all this information about what was told to me. That's not going to happen. The only reason that individual would have any information is if I needed some research, and they wouldn't know what the research was for. They would just be doing some research for me. So I will keep it as confidential. I do have to share it with the president. Beck, you want to say hi? Okay, this is our president. So it does have to be shared with her, but for the most part, anything that comes our way, we try to keep extremely confidential for your privacy, okay? And that of the other individual too. So whistleblower, if you see something that doesn't seem right, we do have a whistleblower policy in the state of Colorado. Okay, so this is a Colorado policy, and you are protected under it in Colorado. So what is a whistleblower? I know stealing cookies out of a cookie jar is not like a major crime, but it depends on what the reasoning is for stealing the cookies out of the cookie jar. So you can see the young girl is saying, I prefer to be a whistleblower, and the brother's going, yeah, you're a tattletale. They are a big difference. A whistleblower is somebody who brings to the attention of the organization activities that are in violation of maybe laws, compliance, what our policy, our program requirements are. Okay, it's not that we're just going in to say, oh, well, so-and-so did this or so-and-so did that. These are really serious. I'm thinking of Enron. Am I dating myself when I say Enron? Yeah, okay. So Enron was a huge, in Texas, a huge scandal with some financial groups. And somebody brought it to the attention, a whistleblower came forward, and basically Enron is no longer in business because they were doing some very bad things with financial money. So I'm gonna have to find another example since Enron's a little dated, but Enron is really the one that started. And, you know, if you ever get a chance to want to take a look at it, whistleblower, the whole whistleblower acts, and you'll probably hear more about that as you go through your careers. Okay, so anybody who does do whistleblowing brings it to us. You can always take anything you want to the president too. You can just go right past me and go directly to Bex because she's very open. But you are also protected from retaliation because you shared this information. So if you believe there's a violation of the law or rule, there's gross mismanagement of maybe funds or the way we're doing programs, there's there's abuse of authority, you can report that. Or if you have substantial, or there is a substantial and specific danger to public health and safety. Okay, that is really big, especially when you're out in the field. So if there's something that's out there that's making you uncomfortable in the field and you think that this is a huge violation, and you come back and you look at our safety policy, which is out on our Confluence, you know, you need to report that because we don't want anybody injured while they're here. So if you believe you've been subjected to retaliation for protecting a whistleblower or protecting whistleblowing reporting, what should you do? Call HR. Okay. Are you getting the theme here? Call HR. Are you hungry? I'm trying to move as fast as I can so you can eat. I'm like, is it time yet? So, drug-free workplace. This is one area where we really need to have that talk. You know, there's a lot of states that marijuana is legal. Colorado is one of them. However, we are federally grant funded. And so therefore the federal government hasn't exactly identified that as being legal. So we don't consider that to be legal. All right. So just keep that in mind as you're out there enjoying the Colorado wildlife and hiking. And yeah. So we are committed to protecting everyone's safety, health, and well-being in the workplace. Drug and alcohol is a big hamper to doing that, especially if individuals are coming into work under the influence of drugs because your judgment is impaired. It increases safety risks and it makes for faulty decision-making. So if you're out hiking or out on a field trip, are we doing field trips this year?
Yes, we are.
Okay, cool. Where are you going?
Oh, yeah, thank you. My brain isn't always in Colorado.
Okay, no, you're good. So you're going out and you think, hey, you know, at the end of this very warm day, a beer might be really nice to have. It's refreshing, it's cooling. I'll just throw one in my backpack. Think again. That can get you in serious trouble. And depending on the circumstances, could cost you your internship. You want to drink, take some soda, take lots of water, especially if you're going to high altitudes, you're going to need that water. But let's keep the beer at home or in the, can they have them in the dorms?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
As long as they're over 21.
Okay. So let's not bring it to work. Let's not think that we're going to have that after a hike or something. You're not, sure.
That also applies if you're working remotely during business hours. So even if you are in your home, if you are on the clock, mountain time, this still applies to you.
We have a question back there.
Devil's advocate type question. What about the weekend field trip?
It also applies on the weekend field trip because you are on your NAPCO time. So if we're taking you somewhere, we're paying for everything for you to be there, those rules apply. If you go out with each other, you can do whatever is legal federally. Have a great time. But yeah, if you're with us on the clock with us, no.
Good question.
Yeah.
Great question.
So for everyone who is on the Zoom, did you hear that in the response? Okay.
Thank you, Lucia.
So, okay, so I got a thumbs up. So, okay, great. So yeah, just stay away from it when you're anytime you're engaging in UNAVCO related work activities. So it applies during all working hours, whenever conducting business or representing while on UNAVCO property or at company sponsored events. So I think that one kind of covers that question about even if it's a weekend field trip. Okay. So interns are prohibited from consuming alcoholic beverages or being under the influence. We just talked about that. This includes work locations, facility, warehouse, field locations, and your offices at home. Okay, so they are required 9 to 3. That's their standard work. Okay, so during that time, it is illegal. It's a violation of our policy. Excuse me, not illegal, violation of our policy to use, possess, sell, trade, sell illegal drugs or intoxicant. Anyone who offers or provides alcohol or any type of drugs to minors is also in violation of this policy. And that one is extremely serious. So, you know, be aware that that also could cause you to lose your internship if you get caught with that. Okay. If you suspect a coworker is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, you must contact one of your program managers or HR and report that. Yeah, sorry, you do have to report that. That makes it a little uncomfortable, but that's your safety too. You don't want to be out in the field with them if they're having drug or alcohol related issues. And one of the first things that I would ask somebody who came to me with a concern about their ability to refrain from drug or alcohol during the work week is, do we need to have some assistance? We recommend that you get some that you get some assistance with your drug problem or alcohol problem before it gets too bad, okay? Because that'll stay with you. DUIs, they stay with you for over 6 years. So just be aware of that. And that means no car rentals. That means sometimes getting jobs. Those are really serious. So just know that those can be detrimental to your career too. Okay, workplace violence. We want to provide you a work environment that's free of violence in all related settings. Safety and security is both an individual and shared responsibility. We have a very detailed safety policy out there that we want to make sure that, you know, everybody kind of follows. Do they get safety stuff in there? When you guys take them out, do you guys talk about safety? Okay. There's a policy out there and we want to make sure that you're safe. You know, make sure you're lifting properly, make sure you're taking water out with you, make sure you have sunscreen. Okay, you'd never be so surprised how close you are to the sun when you're out in the mountains. And if you think that there's any inappropriate behavior that's going on that causes individuals to be in an unsafe situation, please reach out to us. Okay, you're still getting that theme, right? HR, project managers, okay. So some of the things that happen with the violence in the workplace is you get pushed. You know, people are saying things to you. So there could be physical or verbal abuse. We were talking about you start getting these emails from supervisors, okay? And you're taking it in and you're trying to deal with it and you're working through it. Well, at one time, you finally have had enough. You feel threatened, you feel intimidated, you feel bullied or cyber bullied. Anything like that that's going on, those are safety issues in the workplace. And we need to know about those, okay? If anybody runs into a stalking situation, that's really creepy and scary. So let us know. So cyberbullying, flip this. Email should only be used, UNAVCO emails should be used for UNAVCO work. Okay, so I know we do the occasional YouTube type things, but we shouldn't be spending all of our time on the YouTube on our professional computers. All right, so we also want to make sure that when we're working, that we're not sending inappropriate postings, sharing negative, harmful, false, or mean contents about somebody, okay? Even if you're super frustrated, did you see what so-and-so did today? That was so bad, that was terrible. I just can't believe they did that. You know, they probably just don't understand how important it is for me to do this. And they're just gonna just totally trash what I'm doing. And you're just talking smack about them. Is smack a dated term too? Okay. So just be careful what you're putting out there on the website. If you want to talk smack about somebody and you're doing it on your personal email, I can't get you your personal email, but I'll tell you what, the person that you're talking to can bring me your personal email and say, you know, look what so-and-so is saying about so-and-so, and I don't find this very comfortable. So be careful. I mean, you all have this great opportunity to have lifetime friends. And some of the things I've heard about the interns and when they come back and then they meet people, and by the end of this term, you're all going to be crying and missing each other. And you say, oh no, that's not going to happen. Trust me, everything I've heard is you become very good friends. So these are lifetime friends. So please don't try to destroy that or undermine somebody for something that's probably very small and minor, okay? So also don't provide any personal or private information out there. You know, if somebody's asking you for your social security number, any IDs, driver's license, and they're saying that they're from UNAVCO, or they want you to change this most recent phishing that we've had is we get a notice that says you all want to change your direct deposit. Okay, if somebody's asking you to change your direct deposit, reach out to HR, reach out to Laura, who does all the checks and everything, and say, I got this really strange email, and probably she'll have you send it over to, or she will send it over to our IT department. But be careful what you're sending out there so people aren't getting your information. Sometimes some of these actions, bullying is becoming a big, lawsuits are happening when, how do I say this? When there is life-threatening incidents that occur due to bullying, there are some lawsuits that are happening. So you want to make sure that you're not involved with any of that. And bullying can take place on social media, through texting, instant messaging, emails, online gaming type systems. So just be careful. You know, remember, we're all people, we're all human, we're all different, and we all have our quirks. Oops, how do I go back? Okay, so these are just some standard behaviors. Act honestly with integrity, okay? Do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way you're supposed to do it, and you won't be in trouble. That's what my father used to tell me all the time. Can you see that I used to be in trouble a lot? Be sure to make new friends and share ideas. Make your tasks. You have to do your deliverables. And then if you have questions, don't just shake your head. I lived on Guam for many, many years, and I studied Japanese. And one of the things that I learned about the culture is that they are shaking their head as they are understanding what you're saying. What happens is we usually think that they're agreeing with us, okay? So they never ask questions. They would go back and they would come together with their group and they would talk, and then they would come back and ask the questions later. Well, don't wait, ask the questions. And it was really when we were building golf courses, it was very interesting because we're talking about where the hole should be, and we've got it over here, and their idea is it should be over here. And so they're not asking the questions and not sharing that information because it's a group type thing. So just ask questions, bring up your concerns, okay? So you also want to make sure that you protect confidential information. There's a lot of confidential information going on right now about the merger. Please do not discuss the merger. If you have any information, bring it to your supervisor, your mentor, or your program managers, okay? Don't share that because you really don't know. I mean, we don't really know either. Bex knows. She knows everything that's going on. But you may find that when you're out in the field or you're working with your mentors, they want to know what's happening with the merger. You don't really know, okay? And if you do have bits and pieces of information, please don't share it. Don't submit any false records or incomplete information. If you didn't work from 9 to 3, don't put on a document that says that you did. Those become legal documents, and those are all part of your internship. If there's a conflict of interest, something comes up, we're going to talk about conflict of interest in a minute. But if there's a conflict of interest that you are aware of, let us know right away. Excuse me. You cannot download and retain UNAVCO owned files, and you must not maintain or keep our equipment after the internship unless specifically approved by Kelsey, Anika, Donna, and Bex, okay? And do not display any inappropriate materials. So I'm going to step out on the line. So I'm HR. So sometimes when we're doing training, I bring up things that, you know, people go, oh my gosh, so this is going to be a shocker. Anybody who likes the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, please do not be hanging the swimsuit edition up on any of the walls where others outside of the organization can see that, okay? That might be offensive. Women, if there's Chippendales or something like that, that's, you know, you like, just have it in your area. Just make sure that when you're on the Zoom, nobody can see that. That would be inappropriate to have on the background, okay? Any questions on any of this? So I just gave you a shocker. Oh my gosh. All right, conflict of interest. Okay, he's already abandoning me. Conflicts of interest. these are perceived or actual, and this is where you have an outside business interest, and you might be sharing that interest with friends. You might have external board members that you know about. You might be working at your university with a faculty member that has you working on some things that might be kind of protected information for UNAVCO or not for UNAVCO, and you're sharing that. And we're going to talk about gifts and entertainment. Okay, certain things you can't do there. So gifts and entertainment. Somebody walks up to you and they are talking to you and they're like, oh, I really want to get some business from UNAVCO. How about if I give you a couple of tickets? And I'm going to say LSU, Louisiana State University football tickets. And you're like, oh, wow, I really want to go to one of those games. No, those are serious monetary value and you cannot accept those. So anything that has a monetary value, you cannot accept. You cannot solicit. And this comes with, now we don't do a whole lot of work with LSU, do we? I don't think so. But say that we did, maybe they were a big community member and they wanted to get into a subcontract with us or something. They might think that, hey, they might have an in into that opportunity. So be careful of people who are offering you gifts. They usually don't come for free. So one of the things that I see sometimes, not necessarily here, but at universities, is I see that students start going out and looking for jobs and they use the letterhead. Maybe they're a TA or maybe they're a student employee and they're using the letterhead of the university to put in their applications. Please don't use UNAVCO letterhead, logos or anything like that for personal gain. You cannot solicit or compete with UNAVCO products or services. So are any of you writing any code? Yeah, you are writing code. Okay. If it's UNAVCO related work, it's UNAVCO related product. So don't be taking that with you. You cannot use UNAVCO equipment, materials, resources for outside employment. So if any of you have a job that, hey, you didn't bring your personal computer and you really need to write something or take care of something for that other employer, please don't use our equipment to do that. If there's a need to do that, I'm going to give a little bit of caveat. We know that you're kind of out here if you're staying in Colorado, and if you didn't bring a personal computer, there might be times that you need to connect. Talk to your supervisor, see if it's appropriate. Okay, but for the most part, you should not be using our equipment for other work-related issues. And this last one, interns and their immediate families must be free of any significant investments associated with competitors or suppliers. I don't know how we know that, but there you go. Okay, so just be aware that those are all conflict of interest expectations. So let's go through this. Interns' unrelated activities during non-work hours while performing at his or her home. Sorry, hang on a second. Suffering. I'm sorry. Too much talking, too dry throat. Okay, so interns' unrelated activities during non-working hours while performing well at his or her UNAVCO related work. Would that be at a conflict of interest? You got a thumbs down. Anybody on the Zoom? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay. Okay. So no, it would only be a conflict of interest if you're using UNAVCO equipment or proprietary information. Outside employment or consulting work, not acting as a representative, not acting as an agent or representative of UNAVCO. Would this be a conflict of interest? No, it would only be if you represented yourself as an agent or representative. So if you went in and said, hey, I am such and such, and I am a UNAVCO employee, and I am here because I want to learn about blah, blah, blah. You are representing yourself as UNAVCO employee. So that would be problematic. And then other work using UNAVCO name, email, or letterhead in advertising for or reporting on personal consulting work. Okay, I see a lot of heads. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, this is a clear conflict of interest. Okay. All righty. Now are you getting hungry? Okay, so we threw this in last year because, we threw it in the year before because we started going into working from home. So one of the things that we want to really make sure is that when you're working from home, I like to sit in the big recliner chair, which means that I'm sitting here with my laptop and I'm all scrunched down. Nice comfortable chair, and the cat's probably sitting above my head. But in about 2 hours, my back starts hurting, I get a headache and I need to get up and move, okay? When you're making your office and setting up your office, please remember to keep your chair straight. You know, sometimes we like to sit back and type like this, like maybe we're driving a car. That's going to cause you some problems with your wrists and your back, and again, your neck and shoulders. You can see the first gentleman is really stooped over. You want to make sure that your monitor, you can, monitors like right here, not way back here where you're kind of blending on it. Bring it a little closer so that you're trying to keep an upright body posture. If you are fortunate enough to have a standing desk, that's a great opportunity to really kind of stretch out your back and make sure that your posture is good. One of the other things about the middle picture is you may want to elevate your feet, okay, so that you have a little bit of elevated feet. Just be safe, okay? One of the things that I like to do, because I'm kind of lazy, is when I'm typing, I'll drop my wrists and I'll type like this, where I'm doing this type of thing. Carpal tunnel, that could be a problem. So keep your wrists straight. There's a little bar that you can get that you can rest your wrist on while you're typing, okay? So just be really aware of how you're sitting, how your neck is feeling at the end of the day. Get up, walk around, take a few minutes to just stretch out. I am really good going down at 7:30 in the morning, not getting up until 4:30 in the afternoon. And it's like, oh, what happened to lunch? What happened to the restroom breaks? Did I get another cup of coffee? No, I'm there. Don't do that. I am a bad example. But it happens. I know you can get focused and it really does happen. Okay. As part of working from home in ergonomics, and the reason I bring it up is we have an insurance, which is a form of workers' comp. So if you are injured on the job, first thing you need to do is report it, immediately report it. Again, anything like that, immediately report Anika and Kelsey, HR. Because we want to make sure that if you need some medical assistance because of the injury, that you get that medical assistance and not at your expense. Okay, that's a really good reason why you want to report it. It's because you want to make sure that the medical insurance is covered at our expense if it's work related. There's all kinds of interesting stories going around right now about workers' comp because we're working at home. You're not actually in the workplace. So I'm going to share with you this one story that I found kind of interesting. There was a lady, she was working at home, and things were going really well. She got up, she went to get herself a cup of coffee, and she tripped and fell. So she calls her HR department. She said, yeah, I fell and I chipped my elbow when I fell, and I want to file a workers' comp claim. And she's like, okay, well, yeah, we want to definitely make sure that you're covered. Well, as they did the investigation on the workers' comp, the reason she fell is because she tripped over her dog. That's really not workers' comp, okay? So everything that happens when it comes to the insurance and the coverage of the insurance has to be work related, okay? Tripping over the dog is not necessarily work related because you can move the dog. And I know we like Bex's dog a lot and she's always in the pictures, but Bex, if you trip over your dog, that's not really going to be workers' comp, okay? All of you qualify for this insurance. So it's not like there's any reason why you wouldn't have the coverage in case you did become injured as you're working from home. If you're out in the field, definitely let us know. You twist an ankle, you fall down. And some people are like, I skinned my knee, I have to report that. You really do, because you don't know what is out there. I mean, if you go and get it cleaned up and everything, there could be plants or something out there that you tripped and fell on or scraped it on that could cause, and I'm going to say unguam coral. If you're out in the water and you're doing studies in the water and you get cut by coral, that is a really bad thing and it can grow. And so you just don't know what the plants are. So be really cautious and let us know if you get injured. Let them know if you get injured. Yeah. Okay, so you all are on stipends. You are it says unpaid intern. And you're like, well, wait a minute. You're all on stipends. So each week you will be paid a stipend for deliverables. So they have to turn in their deliverables before being paid. And we really want you to take this as a great advantage to learn all kinds of new things. Okay, we do not have time cards, but in order to get paid, you have to do your deliverables. As you're working, please remember to take 2 10-minute breaks per day. One in the morning, usually 4 hours, one in the afternoon, and then take at least a 30-minute lunch break. Okay, we are not going to, say you have to have this 9 to 3 and you can't get up and go use the restroom, as I sometimes do not do, as I shared with you. Do that. Health is very important, so please use that. And then, as you can tell, I really enjoy food. So lunches, when I miss them, I get kind of cranky. Kelsey's going, yeah. So your stipends will be paid each Friday. You must meet the deliverables and they will be done via direct deposit. Okay, if you've not asked for a direct deposit change and you get some type of documentation that asks you to change that direct deposit, reach out. One really super big thing, you are non-employees. We will not be taking taxes out of your paychecks. So you will get a full paycheck or stipend. We'll just call it a stipend instead of a paycheck. You will be responsible in 2023 for taxes on 2022 income. Okay, so please make sure to put some money aside so that you can cover your federal, state, and that you can also cover your Social Security, your Medicare, and any state disability that might be required. All right. You don't want to have a big, huge tax bill in April.
So when you send us a document how much we owe, or how much you have on record that you received from?
Yes, you will in late January. I think it might even go into early February.
Yeah, it's 1099. Is it Colorado state income tax? If you know Colorado.
That's a great question. You should reach out to your tax advisor.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a very political.
No.
It's I'm not allowed to give you tax advice. So I
Right.
really can't tell you.
Sounds good.
And I can't give you tax advice either. So yeah, that would be she was perfect. That was the great question, the great answer. But yeah, you will need to. So time off and holidays. If you're working 9 to 3, then you have a little bit of time to go take care of things in the morning or take care of things in the afternoon. If you need additional time off, make sure that you're communicating with your program managers and whoever is your mentor or the project who's driving the project that you're working on. Because the one thing is you don't want them to go, man, I haven't heard anything from Kelsey today. I wonder what she's doing. She can't be doing anything, and then they get all worked up because they're looking for you. Let them know, keep them in the loop, keep Kelsey and Anika in the loop. And then, keep your work, I'm going to say, keep your work disruptions to a minimal, but I don't know how many times have you heard my cat on Zoom, so my cat will walk in and start talking. Well, of course you got to pet the cat, those are minor interruptions, but if you have to take the dog out for a walk, make sure you plan it during your lunch break, or make sure you plan it during your 10 minutes in the morning, in the afternoon. Okay, so keep those work disruptions to a minimum. Also, one thing is we have some holidays. So when you're supposed to be at work, you need to be at work, but on May 30th, June 20th, and July 4th, you don't have to come to work. We have holidays on those days. Okay, how does that work with their stipend?
Nothing, everything's the same.
Okay,
Don't worry about it. Just-
so,
You don't have to report to us.
As long as your deliverables are.
okay, so yeah, we got 3 free days in there. All right, so this is not something, disciplinary action and termination. Termination means loss of your internship. So we want you all to adhere to some professional standards of behavior, acceptable business principles. Be nice to each other, be civil to each other, do the work that you're supposed to do, turn in your required work assignments or your deliverables. Have a high degree of personal integrity. If you know it's not right, don't do it. You know, just don't do it. And then respect the rights of others, okay? Poor performance. If your behavior falls short of standards or expectations, that's going to be a poor performance. You violate policy, you're unprofessional, or you exhibit inappropriate behavior, or you're missing deadlines or project deliverables. Those are things that could cause you to lose your internship. So again, if you know you're not supposed to do it, or you know it's not right, just don't do it. Just integrity, honesty, and respect for others is really important. Have some civility in there too. Okay, I've droned on and I appreciate you all listening to me, but now is your opportunity to ask any questions. Yes, ma'am, sorry.
So what exactly are the deliverables each week?
We're gonna go over that in our class on Thursday.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So everybody on the Zoom, she asked what the deliverables were each week, and Anika says that they all are going to go over those this week later. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do we have the date of July off as well? It was kind of unclear based on the What days observed?
Yeah, I think it's on Monday. I think Monday the 4th.
Monday the 4th. So,
Yeah.
no, you'll have to work on it.
Okay. So the question was July 5th also a holiday?
I think
And
last year it was on the 5th and that might have just been something.
yeah,
That sounds right.
so the July holiday is actually on the 4th and the 5th might have just been a carryover from last year. So does anybody on Zoom have any questions? Okay, as you know. Alina, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thank you.
All right, super. So any other questions? I know this is a lot of information. Anybody wants a copy of the PowerPoint presentation? I'm more than happy to share it with you. Kelsey's saying yes, I can make some copies for everybody to take a look at it if you'd like it. Okay, people are hungry. Anything?
I do have a question. It's not really HR related, but someone mentioned a weekend field trip. Do you guys know what the dates for that would be?
Yeah, it's on their syllabus.
Yeah, it's June 11th to the 12th. We can talk more about it.
Okay, so for everyone on Zoom, there was a question about the weekend field trip, and that's June 11th. So that was the answer to that one. So yes, okay. Where are we going? I wasn't invited, but where are we going?
It's a field trip we're really excited to do again this year. We have been able to for a couple of years. It's going up to the Mountain Research Station, which is about 30 minutes west of here. And it's actually led by Enrique and a few other graduate students from City Boulder. Geology graduate school.
Everyone on Zoom, could you hear that? I don't know that I could repeat it. Okay, super. Okay, anything else? Great questions. No, we're good. All righty. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you letting me chat with you about HR 101 type stuff. And I'm here. I'm going to show you my email, Naya's email. Please reach out to us. Reach out to your two great program managers and have fun. Enjoy. Can't believe you still haven't invited me to any of those field trips. All righty. I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Annette. That was great.
I know you
I'm so sorry.
did.
Right in the middle.
I could have, introduced you, but.
Okay, I'll introduce myself. So hi, all of you. I'm Bex Bendick. I'm the president of UNAVCO. And I won't talk too long. I don't know. I'm not in charge of HR. Thank goodness. But I really mostly just want to say welcome to all of you. The internship programs that we do here at UNAVCO are one of the very most important things that we do. You know, we have this science support role, but in the bigger picture, our role is to make sure that the geodesy and geophysics community is lively and vital and responsive to the future. And that really means you all, right? Like, we benefit so much from hearing your great ideas and your enthusiasm and your energy and your ideas about where the future of the science is going. So, you know, in exchange for your enthusiasm and excitement and ideas, we'll do a little bit of mentoring, show you around, look at some rocks, you know, teach you some things about the instrumentation. But I think this is a relationship that has benefited both the interns and the organization so much over the years. It keeps us faithful to our mission, and hopefully it inspires you to go forward and do things in geophysics. And just on top of that, it's also an amazing way for us to kind of bring in different and unique perspectives. So we all kind of beetle away, especially now that we work from home, at our computers and, you know, write code and look at instrumentation and read scientific papers. And this program is the way to like bring new perspectives and new ideas into our organization. So whether you like it or not, as of today, you are officially a part of the UNAVCO family. And so we are here for you and you are here for us. And I think our interns over the years have really kept that relationship vital. So lots of our interns are now professors or professional geodesists or geophysicists or school teachers or anything, but you know, this builds a lively and ever-changing community of people who are scientifically literate, engaged with our planet, and engaged in building this lifelong community of scientists. So super excited to have you here. Can't wait to see all the cool things that you do. Can't wait to, you know, help you forge a path through into science or whatever else you choose to do. So thanks for being a part of this. And like Annette said, I mean, I think I and everyone that works at this organization cares a ton about your success. So you should feel free to reach out to any of us at any time if you need help with anything. And I feel like I'm glad I listened to the HR presentation because it's like too scary. But I think you will not be harassed or injured or cyberbullied or any, and if you are, obviously you know what to do. But I think that you'll find your experience as an intern to be super rewarding and super fun. And we are honored to have you be a part of our family. So that's all. And hang out at lunch and eat lots of cupcakes and come talk to me if you want to tell me what you're doing, or else I'll just weirdly introduce myself and ask you lots of questions. But yeah, so psyched to have you here. It means the world to us to have you as part of our organization.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that's all we had today. Hi, okay, so that's all we have for this morning. If you're on Zoom, feel free to log off. If you have any questions, you can Slack message us, you can email us. You can call or text me too if it's time sensitive, but really just email me or Slack me and I'll get back to you. For everyone in the room, we are having a picnic food session with UNAVCO staff.
It officially starts at 12:30.
Yeah, so you have some time to stretch your legs, see the sights. There's a park right across the street. I'm gonna go stretch my legs over there with my dogs in a little bit.
Did you bring?
Yeah, they're napping in the car right now. They're very excited about the changing weather. It's cold here. I left a very hot climate. They're very excited that it's cold.
The only thing that comes close to rivaling the internship programs for Passionate UNACO is the pets channel on Slack. So I know Anika has a new puppy and I really want to meet her.
She's very precious. Okay, yeah, so that's it. That's all we have right now. Stretch your legs. Picnic starts at 12:30.
Yes, and it's
That's
going to
right.
be outside, so something
Yay.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone on Zoom, I will see you later, either virtually or in person. But yeah, like I said, let me know if you have questions or if something wasn't clear, and if you cut out for a little bit, we recorded everything, so we can send it to you too. Okay? Bye guys, see you later. How do I end a meeting?